It's always a treat to see a great comedian, to watch him perform and laugh and have a good time, and that's exactly what happens when you see Garry Schandling. That's what happened to me and everybody in the audience at the Shirley MacLaine show a few weeks ago. Now Garry is with Mac Davis and 100% co-billing.
Yeah, Dennis, you read that the whole thing about me, right?
All that PR
which
stuff.
I wrote. Yeah. I wrote that and mailed it to you, and I was afraid you wouldn't get it in time.
Well, you know, I tell you something. I don't see every show on the Strip, but
right.
You know, it's such a treat. You know, the stars must be aware of the fact when they've got a good comedy opener who's going to set things off. I mean, they must realize that, right?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, whoever I open for, I sort of, after the second or third show, say, how does it feel when you walk out? Because I know what that feels like. See, when I work like a comedy club where I headline like a smaller club, and they have other comedians who go on before me, I'm real sensitive to the differences in the audience relative to the act before me. I mean, some guys set it up right and some guys don't. Yeah. So I'll always ask the person who comes on after me, Shirley or Mac or whoever I'm with. I was here with Donna Summer at the MGM not too long ago, and say, how does it feel? And I'm you know, aware of that condition, because it does make a difference.
It's got to, because I tell you something, by the time Shirley MacLaine came on, everybody was so up.
Oh,
and, and you have a unique style. It's really too bad if somebody doesn't catch you on television, if they don't happen to see you on Johnny Carson or all the other appearances you've probably made. They don't get to see it. And I thought to myself while I was watching you, you're really good, and I'm sure that's why you're at the MGM and we're at the Riviera and everywhere else, because you really are it's original and it's different and it's effortless. Your comedy is effortless, and maybe that's the real trick.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you pick that up, because I don't know if I work on being effortless is not exactly it, but that's the direction that I've always been growing towards. Because I mean, I think that comedians who push too hard make comedy seem a little unnatural. And I'm naturally funny, so my whole thing was always the struggle at not trying too hard to be a comedian. So I'm just Garry up there. I think I'm pretty close to being the same on stage as I am off stage, when I'm being funny anyway.
That's great. I'm curious where you're from, Garry.
Well, I grew up in Tucson, Arizona. Tucson, Arizona. So I'm very used to this set, you see?
Oh, like desert decor?
With yes, and and you have some dead flowers here, and that's what I grew up with. I used to say, Mom, change the flowers, they're dead. So this is how I grew up, kind of this, you know, in a Western in Las Vegas is real comfortable to me, because that's how I grew up in the desert.
Well, you're right next to home.
And then every night, every other night, my dad would take $50 away from me. So it was just like living in Las Vegas.
How did the comedy thing start?
Well, I was funny in Arizona, but there's not a lot of places where that's accepted. This is true. I was funny in school and everything, and I was always getting in trouble. You know, which is interesting, because now I get paid for being funny. But in school, I was punished all the time in Tucson. And so I went to the University of Arizona. This is very weird. I was an electrical engineering major at the University of Arizona, and because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I mean, I always wanted to do comedy, but I didn't know how to go about it. So I studied electrical engineering for 3 years, and finally said, I can't do this anymore. I got my degree in marketing. I went to graduate school 1 year to study creative writing, and left the University of Arizona in '72 for Los Angeles and started to write situation comedy. I wrote for Sanford and Son, was the first show I wrote for.
Is that right? You know who's a friend of mine? Bill Wise. Do you remember Bill?
I know the name.
The production coordinator or something like that, but I know Bill from way back. William R. Wise.
It seems like I've met him, in fact.
Yeah, he's on the credits, William R. Wise. Well, you're a different... Yeah. You're on the other side of that. You know, he's hassling on stage with things going on during the shooting. That must have been something. Well,
I'll tell you, I moved to Los Angeles right when situation comedies were really just expanding, and they were looking for young writers, and I came in right at the right time. And I wrote for them, and I wrote for Welcome Back, Kotter, and I wrote for the Harvey Korman show, and one after the other, and then I got pretty hot, and I was writing my own pilots. And I was sitting at the typewriter one day, and I said, gee, I really don't want to do this anymore. And I was 28, and I was going through like a midlife crisis at 28. And I said, I don't want to do this anymore, which is 5 years ago, and I just switched, and I started to perform. And I started at small clubs and discos, and it was very difficult, you know.
That is incredible. Let me ask you something about your writing years. As you know, Red Fox lives in Las Vegas. and or you Red Fox is here,
Right.
and some of the
And
other
Wayne
names.
Newton lives here. I drove by his house the other day, which is easy to spot because there's a marquee out in front of his house. No, actually, I drove around. I've been driving around this trip and seeing a lot of Las Vegas.
Well, I had one situation comedy writer on the show a few weeks ago. I can't think of his name. I'm sorry to say, but anyway, is it a mechanical type of? You get your salary every week, and you have to knock out so many jokes, and
that's exactly what it was for me, and I couldn't pinpoint what was bothering me. You know, I wasn't real happy, and I would write like 3 scripts for Sanford and Son in a season, and then I had trouble wanting to write another one because it is a formula. It's a formula. So for me, it ceased to become creative. You get paid a lot of money, but I'm really not into money, so I just said I didn't know why I was doing it.
Yeah.
But it's a formula.
Got it. And then you switched off to doing your own thing. But I'm curious about when you said you did the. what were you doing? How did you master your craft?
Well, I mean, it still hasn't totally evolved. I mean, the act is still evolving, and I'm still not as funny as I can be on the stage. And I think that'll happen as people get to know me, so I can be more personal. You know, people are just seeing me a lot for the first time. So that affects my comedy right now. I mean, I worked a lot of clubs, like a lot of really bad clubs. The same story that every comedian has to tell. I mean, I worked clubs in Cleveland where there were 20 people in the audience and 19 of them were drunk and heckling out of 20. And so you toughen up pretty quick. And, but my style has evolved. My philosophy is just being yourself on the stage. And whatever kind of comedy comes out of that is what you do. So I've never sat down and really tried to structure a style. It's mostly my growth has come from rejecting artificial styles.
Is that the only way it works, Gary? You have to go out to your little small places and get kicked around a little bit? Is that, I've always thought, isn't there another way that these guys can, I'm sure you would probably...
No, I mean, I think it's like life. The only way you grow is to get knocked around a few times. So I think it's the same as anything else.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
I mean, I don't think that getting knocked around is part of growing comedically. I mean, the part of that's great in comedy clubs is you can really stretch and really have the opportunity to bomb. I mean, you really don't want to come into Las Vegas and bomb. So if you were to see me in a small club, you would see me stretch a lot more.
Got it. The comedy stores in L.A., there's a couple of them.
Right.
One on the Strip. It's called the Comedy Store, right?
And actually, there was one in Westwood that just closed in January. So there's just one now in L.A.
Are they worthy of the credit that a lot of people give them, whether it's an audience or a performer like yourself or not?
Well, I don't know exactly what kind of credit you mean, but I mean...
Being very valuable for...
Oh, extremely valuable. Sure, extremely valuable. I work there a lot. I still go back in between gigs and work out there. And it's an environment it's an accepted environment to see comedians working out. So you come in there and you see guys stretch, and I really take that opportunity to do that there. I try all my new material. I'll pull my notes out on the stage and bomb. Robin
Williams.
Which I like to do.
Robin Williams played the Comedy Store.
And he still goes in there all the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, they never say when he's going to be there. You can go in and watch him work out.
You just mentioned something. I've got to go to a break in just a moment here. But when I first met Gary, I went backstage after the show with Shirley MacLaine, and you literally had notes. You had pieces of paper laying all over the place. When actual notes, it was fascinating.
Yeah, I wish I had them. They're not with me. Usually I carry my notes with me and always make little notations. And my friends who do imitations of me and make fun of me always say, "This is Gary. This is Gary before a show. Excuse me, I'm busy." And I have these wadded up notes that I look through because I write constantly.
That's why.
I write constantly.
Well, it comes off.
And I'll try a new joke every night, usually while I'm here. Yeah.
Well, it comes off very well. Gary, stay where you are. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in just a moment. tan?
So it's those new sun lamp slot machines.
I know it's not. Tell us what you've been up to.
Well, I mean, I had been working very hard. I took my first vacation in a long time. I went to Hawaii about 4 weeks ago, which was exciting. I went snorkeling for the first time, which is,
wow.
you know, I'm not that kind of guy that likes to, you know, I don't put my head underwater in the tub, let alone go snorkeling. And then I was in Lake Tahoe with Joan Rivers 2 weeks ago, and we went skiing. And until you've skied with Joan Rivers, you don't know.
Oh.
This is not an athletic woman necessarily. She asked if there were skis with seats. You know, this is not a pretty sight. So we went skiing. So that's where we got our tan. And then I've been here for 4 days, and I went out to Lake Mead yesterday. And I like to go out, and I like to sit in the sun, and I hike and stuff like that. And I'm going to go to, because you turned me on to this, Mount Charleston. So I'm going to go today.
Gary's
I'm going to go today because I drove my car. I drove my new car from Los Angeles.
Well, what were your impressions of the lake?
Well, I didn't get to spend a lot of time there, but I think it's beautiful. I mean, I mean, it's very peaceful, and that's what I like.
Did you know about Lake Mead from Tucson? Had you heard of it or even
Yeah,
been
and
there?
I'd been to Lake Mead when I was a little kid. So I had been there before, and I fly over it constantly. You know, when we fly from Los Angeles to back east, you constantly fly over Lake Mead and sort of look down. And
I'm curious why you're into your little journey and your little adventure of southern Nevada.
I'm like that. I mean, that's the thing that I do besides work is I go camping, and I like nature, and I'm kind of a nature person. So I go out and I walk and hike, and I do that all the time.
Other than Hawaii, which I assume you probably found quite nice.
Yes, I did, and I did a lot of that in Hawaii. You know, I found the back roads.
Where else, Gary, have you found?
Well, I have a place at Big Bear, which is about 2 hours from Los Angeles, and I go up there, and I go to I go to Big Bear a lot, which is pretty lake and stuff like that.
You have your own place? You mean,
yeah, I have a little cabin. I have a one-bedroom cabin, which is about as big as this set.
Oh,
then I have the lights and the cameras and everything there too. So it works.
That's got to be fabulous.
Yeah, I have a very tiny place. It literally is. The living room is as big as this set. And then there's one bedroom that's about a little larger. In fact, I could use, if it wouldn't be some of this stuff. This is nice. This isn't screwed down.
It's not screwed down, no.
Because I travel so much and everything's always screwed down, and then I can't steal it.
How long have you had your place at Big Bear?
2 years.
Without getting into it's you know, it's not nice to say how much did it cost, but was it extremely expensive?
No, it's very inexpensive. I have a little tiny rustic cabin, and I didn't buy it with the money that I've made from my career. I was hit by a car about 7 years ago. This is true, and there was like a lawsuit because it was like a hit-and-run accident, and with the money I got from the lawsuit, I bought this cabin.
That's very intelligent.
Yeah, yeah. Now I want to put in a pool, so I think I'm going to take a walk on the highway later, you know.
That was very intelligent. You took something, a very bad thing, and made it into it's probably very
yeah, it was
scenic.
Weird, because I wasn't into the lawsuit. In fact, I said, you know, I was hit and I lived, and it was a great experience. Actually, I grew a lot from this. It was a horrible thing, which we don't need to get into. Yeah, it was very unusual. Wow. And yeah, I have a scar here and a scar here, but I'm fine.
Yeah, well, really.
Yeah, I'm fine. So I got a lot of comedy out of it, actually. So I bought this, so I got this money, and so I said, well, I'm going to buy this cabin because I'm real into nature. So I go up there and just isolate myself. There's no phone and no TV. And
well, I just personally think that sounds like heaven. I mean, what better little cabin, rustic cabin out at Big Bear? That's the greatest. Anybody would love that.
I would live there if there were more girls there. There are no girls, so. Well, you know.
There are at Big Bear skiing. They're everywhere. Beautiful, voluptuous.
Yes, thin. Keep going. But I'm not a good skier yet, so it's hard to meet women when you're laying there, you know.
Well, you're supposed to, if you dress the part, it's like golf, you know.
I've always said skiing is your one chance to dress gay, because you can wear those colors and everything, and no one really cares. You know what I mean? No, I bought ski pants actually with the cast already on it. I thought I'd save $1 there.
No, but it is true. If you go to the cabin or the bar or the restaurant where all the ski resorts are, and if you look the part, like I say, it's a golfer. How do they know if you can play golf or ski? If you look the part, you look macho, and the girls are going to go, hey, that's a cute guy.
See, I made a mistake. I took my golf clubs on the ski slope, so I'm just a confused man.
Really a confused man.
When I go up to the cabin, though, actually, or when I do those things in nature, that's the furthest thing from my mind. I really just clear my mind and walk and take my dog.
Got it.
I have a dog, and he goes with me. So
Yeah.
I'm like a regular guy who goes camping and then somehow writes jokes.
Yeah.
I just write them. It's things that happen in my life.
I know that you're with Mac Davis, who I personally think is one of the absolute tops, and he's had a great deal of fame, and I'm sure he's got a lot more fame to go. It must be fun with him, right?
Well, what's terrific, seriously, is he's not only a great performer, he's a great guy.
Yeah, I've heard.
He's a regular guy. So, I mean, it's great to be able to go into the hallway and up into the dressing rooms and joke around with a regular guy,
Yeah.
and, you know, it's fun.
I've heard that. That must make life a lot better and
Yeah, it
easier, I would think, in your business.
It does, it's fun.
What's in the immediate future, Gary, or is it just another co-starring film?
Well, from here, so I'm here through the 14th, and then I go back to Los Angeles for 5 days to do a club, which is great, and I'll stretch and write all my material. Then I go to New York and work a small club and stretch again. Then I go to Atlantic City, so I'm working a lot. And, you know, there's interest now in television projects, and there's a lot of stuff out there that I have to sort through and see what is next.
Well, we'll be seeing you again in Vegas.
I'll be back probably in September.
Excellent. Well, you're a fabulous performer, and it was a real treat when I saw you with Shirley MacLaine, and you have a unique style, and everybody should see you. You're really good.
Well,
I'm sure we'll see you on TV, as a matter of fact.
I appreciate that.
Well, it's true. I really enjoyed it, and
Another couple months I'll probably do The Tonight Show. It takes me a couple months to get all my new material ready to do it again. I just did it like the end of January.
Is that sort of an open invitation to you,
Yeah,
Gary?
I can go on. They're great to me. The Tonight Show is real supportive of me, and they're great people, and I can do it as soon as I have new material ready.
Wow.
So it's basically up to me.
Well, you know, Johnny Carson is part owner of this station, Channel 5.
Yeah, he's kind of a wealthy man, isn't he?
Sort of. Thanks a lot, Gary.
Dennis, it's a pleasure. I enjoy you as well, so thanks for having me.
Thank you.
But get a new shirt. No, it's a great shirt. It's a great shirt.
Thanks, Gary. I'll see you at the MGM.
Okay.
Stay with us. We've got a fabulous musical video coming up right after this word.